Welcome to the luxurious Career Boss headquarters. I've been in business about 45 years. The last 25 or so, I've been in executive management, either CEO or VP. And over those years, I've seen a few things and learned a few things. And what I'd like to do is to pass that on to you. In our Stuff You Should Know series, this is the fourth and final bit about getting that job that you want. And this is called Now You've Got the Job, What's Next, basically. Here we go. I'm going to give you an example of how I deal with situations in a new environment. One of my bigger contracts, I was hired as a chief marketing officer for part-time. I was only interim because I didn't want to work full-time at that. I was contacted with by a large or contracted with a large engineering-based company, and technology-wise, I was in way over my head. I knew I had to meet the other 12 executives who were my peers, and they were VPs mostly, and other key people in the company as my very first priority. So I had to go into learning/education mode big time. My goal was to come across this way. I wanted to be seen as affable. I wanted to seem interested, and that I achieved by listening very, very closely to what they had to tell me, and I wanted to be seen as smart. Demonstrating smartness was accomplished by active listening and then asking questions about what they just said. In some cases, I will repeat back what they told me to ensure I know what they meant, because this helps both me and them. So that was how I demonstrated that. Since they knew that I wouldn't know the business as well as they did, they happily answered my questions without me having to worry whether my question was dumb or not. It was a honeymoon period, so to speak. Finally, I always had my notebook out when I'd meet anybody in the company, because I would arrange appointments to meet with them for an hour or so. I'd be taking notes because I wanted to learn. And secondly, it also connotes interest, and that's important. What I did for some of them, I sent my questions in advance. Mostly those were for the other VPs in the company. And so I'd let them know what I was looking for. Let me see if I say this here. And at this point, I knew I did what, who did what. Okay, before I get to that last point, make sure you always ask these questions. You're here to understand what they do, but always make sure you're going to say, in my new role, is there anything that you can think of that I can use, that I can do to help you out? How can I help you in your job? And that works well because I'm very interested in that, but it also demonstrates or will create reciprocity, where if you're saying to them, how can I help you? They're gonna reciprocate, and they're gonna simply say, well, how can I help you? So it's really important for that relationship to get off on a leg like that. And one of the things I found complicated was the fact that I had to meet so many people. So I had to meet the 12 other executives, then I had to meet maybe 5 or 6 or 7 key employees in the organization. So my notes had to be pretty copious and thorough so that I understand what they were doing. Along with this, my boss in this case was the CEO of the company. And one of the things that's really, really important is that along with getting to know your peers, it's really, really important to understand your boss and let your boss know what you're doing, that you're doing these interviews, that this is happening, arrange to discuss with her or him what it is that you're up to, but most importantly, understand their expectations clearly. And if they're the type who can't come up with the expectations themselves, which happens sometimes, just let them know this is what you're working on, this is what you're doing, this is your big picture scan here. Does this make sense to you? So always, always, always understand what it is exactly that your boss wants you to be doing. All right, that's it for the end of the series. Thanks for watching them. More to come.